I work for a federally qualified medical center that created a job as a community health worker. I was their receptionist, and they hired me. And I was like, okay, so what's my focus point? They had no focus point for me. You're a community health worker. You do community stuff. And I'm like, okay. So I like to have a focus point. So I started kind of looking into what other community health workers do. Nothing struck me. And out of nowhere, just this gut intuition again said, what's the best way to be a communication piece for your community? A health coach is what came to me. So I wrote a proposal to the CEO of the medical center and the HR compliance officer, which was my supervisor. And they showed it to the board because it's a nonprofit. Everything's done through the board, and they approved it. So I was like, whoa, I didn't expect that to happen. What do I do now? And once word got out, I had gotten into Pillar 2 back in August, and took on 2 practice clients, and the providers were like, oh, well, we have all these patients that we want you to start talking to. They're non-compliant. And I have a problem with the word non-compliant because I don't think anybody is non-compliant. And so I started working with those individuals, 9 clients, not all at once. I took on 4, and then I didn't have enough room in my schedule, so I made room for another one, and I made room for another one, so up to 11 clients total. And it's been absolutely amazing.
And
absolutely.
Tell me, what's been the impact?
The impact. So all of these non-compliant patients who are now my clients have lowered their A1Cs. They've released 15 to 20 pounds each. I mean, we're talking like cumulative, it's pretty big numbers, like almost 200 pounds. Cholesterol, bad cholesterol levels are dropping, good cholesterol levels are coming up. They can look in the mirror and they're proud of what they see. I don't know, it's just been, it's been amazing.
Yeah.
It's been completely amazing to watch their transformation, to watch what they've been labeled as non-compliant for so many years, and these are all tools that they have implemented. It's all stuff that they're doing. I'm just talking to them, and so it's been pretty amazing.
Wow.
To watch the transition.
Can you give me an example of what has been working? Like give me one case that you're working with and what has worked in working with that person.
I probably shouldn't say he's my favorite, but my favorite client. He worked as a supervisor foreman in C&H Sugar Factory for 35 years. So he's been breathing sugar his entire majority, well, he's in his 70s now, but majority of his life. And this man, when he came to me, would say, oh yeah, well, what I had for dinner, I had a chocolate cake. I mean, he would sit down and have an entire chocolate cake for dinner. And so the inside of me was going, ah, I was just screaming when he was saying that, but I'm like, okay, well, let's play around. And so actually giving him, I think what really worked for him is that he had the freedom to experiment and find, I never told him to stop eating cake. He just had the freedom to experiment and find where his energy was. He didn't realize that he was depriving himself of energy. He was using sugar to provide his energy. And so he might have 1 Pop-Tart a week now. He's finished numerous projects that he's been working on for years. He's making up projects now to keep himself moving. He comes into, I'm a fitness center coordinator for the fitness center that the nonprofit hosts. He's in there working out every day now. He's 70-something years old and saying he had to have surgery and he had to do this and he had to do that, and he's not doing any of that now.
Wow.
So.
And all because you kind of put yourself out there and you made a proposal and you actually got it covered by your employer to become a health coach.
Right. I was creating a focus point for myself. I was
Right.
doing it kind of selfishly, but.
What did you say in that proposal that helped you get this funded by your employer?
The proposal was pitched as being the communication piece between the community and the providers, what the community is not willing to say to the provider, and the benefit that that will show. I was asked during my interview to get approved for this, what is the benefit to us if you do a cleanse? Okay, the benefit to you if I do the cleanse is that I can relay to my clients, to your patients, the benefit of clearing the toxins out of their system. Like, it's, everything about it is a benefit to the community. So that's how I pitched it. That if I worked side by side with the providers, that what they couldn't take the time to walk the clients through, or the patients, at that time their patients, walk them through step by step, what they didn't have the time to sit down and do with them, I could. And that's where the difference is made. Time.
Have you found them open to you and what you're giving?
Yes, I have. Why? I've lost 2 clients about 2 or 3 weeks into it. They just kind of stopped showing up for their appointments. I did my follow-ups. They weren't coming in, so figure after the holidays I'm going to hit them up again, because I don't give up. I have 1 client that has a little bit of trouble in accepting her new identity. She's in week 9. But we just keep revisiting it, and she'll get there.
Yeah.
She'll get there. We'll just extend. I'll just go forever. But
I love the things that you're saying under your breath that mean everything.
yeah,
Like, because I don't give up.
I don't give up.
Like, if I was your client and I heard you say I don't give up, I'm like, wow, I trust you.
Well, and it's funny because this same client that's having difficulty, she also goes to another class that's Diabetic Education, and they give you homework assignments, like your action steps, but they more put things out in a list of what you have to do. You have to eat this, you can't, you have to do this and this and this, and she's not very receptive to that at all, which I knew from day 1. But she came to me in our last session and she's like, are you sure you want to work with me? I'm like, what's going on? Why wouldn't I want to work with you? And she says, well, because the Diabetic Education class wouldn't even give me a homework assignment. They just said pick something. And so she's like, I think they gave up on me. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up because it's in her to do it. She's just afraid of it.
How do you protect your heart in kind of going so deep with people who are potentially suffering?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I have lost a couple of clients and I was really bummed out when they didn't come back, but I believe that they will. I know that they will. It's just, it'll happen. They just weren't ready. And I'm giving them the tools and they can implement the tools, or they can hold on to them and they can use them later.
Yeah.
Eventually they will.
So it's a faith.
Yeah, it's just faith. They will. Once you have them, even if you're scared of it, at some point you have that moment where you're like, I really want to feel better. And they'll do it, and I don't have to be there to see it. It'll happen eventually.
Have you found that, like, how do you get people to engage and say yes and show up to the appointment and kind of prioritize it?
I'm excited with them, and they like that. And I hurt with them when they're going through the painful part. But I think the excitement and the passion, and I implemented it myself. I released 34 pounds this year. I feel better than I have since my 20s, and I believe in it. I believe in it. It works. It works. It's one of those things that people look at and they're like, oh, you can't, they think you can't take this and apply it to everybody, but you can. It works.
What would you say to people who are considering this and actually wanting to know where to focus their attention in regards to coaching and helping people? Where should they put their attention?
On what they believe in, what they're passionate about. That's it, what you feel, where your passion is.
How did you get tapped into your care?
So I'm also in the Army Reserves. I've been in for 21 years. For the last 10 years or so, I've struggled with my weight and meeting the military standards. It's a very tight, very, very tight expectation, like very strong expectations. And so I've been struggling with it for a while, and this year, I've been meditating on it and praying on it a lot at the end of last year, and I did a 3-day fast at the beginning of the year. It's kind of a spiritual fast, but it just reset me. And I chose that 2019 was the year that my voice would be heard, the year that things were going to change.
Wow, you did it.
Here we are.
I know, you did it.
I know, pretty crazy.
Tell me about how you've integrated some of your life experience into your coaching.
Well, I have a base for fitness, so I've helped people very small starts on their movement. But my entire life has been trials, and you have to overcome them. So I think the biggest thing is listening and understanding, even if I haven't lived through their hardship, understanding their hardship and helping them see things through a different light. Because there's always a different light. What
had you choose this path of love, light, acceptance?
It goes way back. That goes back into childhood and growing up in a really love-lacking environment and being on my own at a very young age, and being taken in when I didn't have any family, being taken in by a community. That we did community gardening, community living, community everything. I was just a kid. I was 15. Went back home, came back when I was 16, just bounced back and forth. And then when what they consider adult, 18, not really an adult, but a lot of us got together. We rented a large home together, and we just started bringing people in, and we did, everyone had chores and responsibilities and community gardening, and we grew all of our own food. And we did that for many, many years, and then I kind of went out on my own, married, and then moved to a busier area. So I was originally in Idaho, and then I moved to Southern California. I didn't live like that per se, but a lot of people transitioned through my home. I would bring people into my home, show them that way, and then they would go out on their own. And that's kind of stuck with my husband and I. We live in the mountains now, but we do ministry through the parks. We feed and clothe and offer, if it's on our heart, not for everybody, obviously, you can't bring everyone home with you, but if it's on our heart that that's the person we're supposed to give it to, then we bring them home with us, and we feed them, clothe them, help them find jobs, and send them on their way to do it for someone else. So that's the vision.
There's a phrase that, like, a prayer is no heart left behind.
Right.
Could you imagine a world where that no heart was left behind? And
Wouldn't
I feel
that be
like
amazing?
the caregivers are there, waiting to serve in that mission. We just need to learn how to use technology and some way of connecting people that allows people who need care to get it.
Yeah.
because there's infinite generosity of care.
There is. I've just always known that whatever I wanted, whatever I ended up doing, if it impacted one person, if it changed one person's life, they don't even have to remember where that, I don't care if they remember where the change came from, but if it changes one person's life, then it was worth it, no matter what I do. So can't believe it took me this long to find it, but this actually makes me feel that. And I'm not even changing their life, I'm just witnessing them change their own life. That's what makes it so amazing. That's what makes it so awesome.
I find your servant heart so inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you for being you.
Thanks.
Pleasure chatting.